Hey everybody, welcome to You So Can. I'm Callie. Today we are going to go over something that you will probably get asked a lot now that you got a sewing machine and people are talking about, oh hey, can you do this for me? It's sewing them buttons back on. These bitches fall off in the washing machine and people are like, I don't know how to sew the button on. Well, guess what? We're going to take care of that today. All right. So this is my husband's work shirt. And as you can see, the button fell off. So the first thing we want to do is we want to remove all this shit here because you don't want to be sewing your button on over it. Okay. So let me go ahead and do that. Break out the old trusty seam ripper. Hello. And we're just going to take all that out. And I'll be right back. Okay. We got all them extra stitches ripped out. I went ahead and just marked where the button was. A lot of times you could tell. But if you gotta mark it, then go ahead and mark it. Ain't nobody gonna tell you different. Okay, and then a good idea too is just to take note of how the buttons were sewn on beforehand, whether or not, they would have been like looking like equal signs, but this one looks like an X. So that's how we're gonna sew these back on. Okay, first thing you wanna do also, well, one of the first things you wanna do is make sure that your feed dogs are down on your machine. Every machine is different. Usually there's some sort of magic, switch that you hit in the back, and then it just brings those feed dogs down. The reason why is we don't want to be advancing anything through the machine. We want everything to stay still. Also too, but to see how to do that, you're gonna check your manual. Also, check your manual on how your machine likes to sew buttons. Mine doesn't want to have, we have to take the foot off. It's a little freaky, I agree, but hey. And then also have your machine set to a zigzag stitch. But what we're gonna do also is find out how wide we need to make things before we go ahead and stitch this bitch back on. Okay, so I'm going to I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to kind of line up the holes with my magic X here, and then just kind of just move this around. And then what you want to do is use your hand crank to make sure things are lined up appropriately. Because the last thing you want to be doing, if this is your last button, is to be cracking that shit in half. So we just kind of have to move things around. All right, so we got the first thing lined up. Go ahead and stick it in the other hole, and let's see if what our default setting is on is good. And yes, it is, because it was backed over there. So you don't need to be pressing on your foot too much. Go ahead and zoom in a little bit here so you can see what's going on. So I'll go through the hand crank one more time. The zigzag, you want to make sure the zigzag that it's set on is going back and forth between the two holes and nothing's going to stop. Make things break. Cut, I have had buttonholes crack, or excuse me, not buttonholes, but buttons crack. So all you just do is you just kind of press on the pedal for a little bit, for like 3 stitches maybe, back and forth. You don't want to be pressing like you're doing a full-on line or anything like that, because then just too much thread. And then the good thing is now that you've got it set to that width, when you rotate it to do the other bit, it'll be the right width. So you don't have, you only have to set that once. Okay, so our button is on. It looks like it's been put on like the other buttons, so we got that X matching up. I like to leave a tail. As you can see, there's a tail that comes out, you know, when I'm taking it off, and then I'll take a hand needle and then bring it through to the other side. And you can either just trim it from the other side, you could tie these off and then trim it, do whatever you want to do. I do like to do buttons where I can by machine, just because I just think it's a little cleaner finish than, you know, for me doing it by hand. But if you rather do it by hand, go for it. All right, well, that's all we have for today, everybody. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, ring that bell, and I'll see you on the flip side. Be excellent to each other, everybody. Bye-bye.